Hello and welcome. You're watching Good Morning India. I'm Gargi Rawat, and up first is the Maharashtra crisis.
Gargi, that has been our top story for the past few days, and it continues to be a worsening political crisis. A Maha Game of Thrones is underway in Maharashtra, and in a day of fast-moving developments, the rebel Sena MLAs got a breather from the Supreme Court yesterday. The Supreme Court has given them 14 more days to file their reply to the Deputy Speaker's notice on their disqualification plea.
Now, what's important for the Thackeray camp is while the court did halt that disqualification proceeding, so a setback to them, though the Thackeray faction also contended that there should be no trust vote till the pending issues are all decided. However, the court said they could approach the court if anything illegal takes place.
Now, the Supreme Court has also asked the Maharashtra government to ensure protection to the rebel MLAs or supporters of the rebel MLAs. Remember, Eknath Shinde claimed that there is a serious threat to the lives of the MLAs of his faction after Sanjay Raut also made a comment that dead bodies will return from Guwahati. After that, Eknath Shinde said that there is a threat to their MLAs.
A big relief for Eknath Shinde and his 38 rebel MLAs as India's top court gave them 14 more days to respond to the Deputy Speaker's disqualification notice. The Deputy Speaker had given them 48 hours. Eknath Shinde called it a victory and tweeted, "This is the victory of the Hindutva Emperor Balasaheb Thackeray's Hindutva and the thoughts of Dharmaveer Anand Dige Sahib." Uddhav Thackeray's request against any move for a floor test was not accepted, with the court saying there was no foundation of the issue yet, and if any illegality takes place, then every citizen can approach the court.
Our reply to the notice of the Deputy Speaker for our disqualification is extended till the 12th of July.
But can there be a floor test?
I can't comment on it because that's not the subject matter of this petition.
In fact, the Supreme Court also questioned the Deputy Speaker's rejection of the rebels' petition to remove him, pointing out that this case is different from earlier defection cases that came to court because here the authority of the Deputy Speaker itself is under question. The court has issued notices to key officials in the Thackeray camp, the new chief whip and the new leader of the legislative party, both of whom have replaced rebels and allowed time for counter affidavits and rejoinders. A notice has also been issued to the centre as it has been made a party to the case by the rebel MLAs because of the security arrangements they are seeking.
When the top court asked the Shinde camp why they had not approached the Bombay High Court first, their lawyer N.K. Kaul said that the atmosphere in Mumbai was not conducive to pursue their rights as homes as well as properties of the MLAs are being burnt.
As arguments in the court continued, the Shinde camp said the Deputy Speaker's actions are unconstitutional and he had no right to issue a disqualification notice. The MLAs were asked to respond in 2 days. The rules required a minimum of a 14-day deadline. There are violations of principles of natural justice. The Deputy Speaker said a no-trust motion sent by MLAs was not a valid document. The letter was sent from an unregistered email ID. Its veracity was not authenticated. The Shiv Sena argued that the Deputy Speaker has the right to take decisions first. There was no need for a judicial review, and the moment the MLAs knew that they were likely to face disqualification proceedings, they sent an invalid letter to the Deputy Speaker.
For now, the MLAs are free from the fear of disqualification, and any further developments in court will take place only on 11th July. But in this twisted tale of Maharashtra's political crisis, new moves by the stakeholders cannot be ruled out. In New Delhi with Arvind Gunasekar and camera person Pawan Kumar, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
All right, so while the Supreme Court halted the disqualification proceedings, the million-dollar question is, will there be a floor test before this disqualification can be dealt with? That means before the 11th of July.
And meanwhile, Gargi, we also spoke to rebel Shiv Sena MLA Deepak Kesarkar, and he told us that from the 5-star Radisson Blu Hotel in Guwahati, he said that the faction led by Eknath Shinde has a majority that could easily pass a floor test in the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. So the Shinde camp seems to be very confident about their numbers.
That's right.
So the strategy is to be decided. I'm not the person who decides the strategy, and strategy is not announced publicly. It takes place. And shortly, whatever decision we take, you will come to know. The Maharashtra is with the minority government, and soon the stable government will have to replace it. And that is a process, so nobody should feel
but you're
bad
ready
about
to
it.
support.
Government money is not spent on our state. We are making payments for our own state.
All right, and another interesting development after that Supreme Court decision was the BJP holding a core committee meeting after the Supreme Court decision to give relief to those rebel MLAs. The strategy on the Maharashtra government formation on the agenda, that's the big question, as a rebel leader Eknath Shinde has flaunted his numbers from a hotel in Guwahati.
Right, and the BJP is in fact evaluating its next move. And the question is, who has the numbers? Which camp constitutes the real Shiv Sena, as both the camps seem to be pretty confident of holding their majority?
Well, as far as the MLAs go, definitely Eknath Shinde has, the majority of the MLAs by his side. But let's go across to Saurabh now for more. And so, Saurabh, relief for those rebel MLAs. And so now we'll have to wait and see what is their strategy next. Meanwhile, the BJP holding this meeting was also very interesting. And if we talk about today, we do know that Sanjay Raut had been summoned by the ED, but he's not going for that summons. He already declared that yesterday. So tell us what's expected today in Maharashtra.
Yes, Sanjay Raut had been summoned today, but he's not going. He's already clarified that he's not going because of the fact that he has a meeting, pre-scheduled meeting in Alibag, and also at this point with a political situation in Maharashtra, he cannot be spared, is what of course Sanjay Raut's explanation is. Now, the timing of the summons to Sanjay Raut has again been questioned. The Enforcement Directorate has been accused of working at the behest of the BJP to target opposition political parties. Not just the Shiv Sena, but several opposition parties across the country have repeated this allegation against the Enforcement Directorate, which is controlled, by the central government, and many believe that it's acting at the behest of the BJP to target the BJP's opponents. So that's one part. The second part is what next? Well, the Supreme Court did not close the avenue for a floor test, even though it said there should be a status quo, saying that that was not a part of the petition, and the fact that when the lawyers for the Shiv Sena said that if there is to be a status quo, then let not there be a floor test. He said, of course the court said that if there is any illegality, you can come to us at any point, any citizen can approach us. So obviously, there is an avenue left open for a floor test. And of course, if there is a floor test, the Shiv Sena can move the Supreme Court, saying that it had asked for a status quo, and having a floor test in the middle of a status quo is hardly a status quo. So obviously, that is one argument that we will see. But when that floor test is going to happen is something that is being kept a very, very closely guarded secret. In fact, we know secret parleys have taken place between the rebel camp leader Eknath Shinde and the BJP as well, including that secret meeting that has been reported about in Baroda, where apparently Eknath Shinde flew in and met top leaders of the BJP. So obviously, this is an attempt to topple yet another opposition government and install a BJP government in a state, a very, very important state like Maharashtra. But the Shiv Sena, led by Uddhav Thackeray, is not giving up, not going away without a fight. In fact, they say that the Chief Minister is not bothered about holding on or clinging on to the Chief Minister's position. But he, of course, is also not willing to simply surrender before what the Shiv Sena calls gaddars or traitors. Now, obviously, that is the politics. But beyond the politics, let's also remember that these are MLAs and ministers who've taken an oath to serve Maharashtra, but they're not here. They're in a 5-star hotel in Guwahati. Their constituents cannot reach them, and that's, of course, definitely a violation of the oath they took.
Right, for the Thackeray, a fight for control of the Shiv Sena. Thanks so much, Saurabh, for joining us with the latest there. Now, if we talk about moves made yesterday by the Thackeray camp, the Chief Minister on Monday stripped the portfolios of 9 rebel ministers, claiming that public work should not be stalled. Among these 9 are 5 cabinet ministers, including, of course, the rebel leader Eknath Shinde, and the list of 9 also includes other ministers of state. Meanwhile, Eknath Shinde's supporters yesterday held a massive show of strength in support of Eknath Shinde in Thane.
थाने में भले ही ये कहा जा रहा है कि शक्ति प्रदर्शन नहीं हो रहा था, लेकिन जैसे कि आप देख सकते हैं श्रीकांत शिंदे जो एकनाथ शिंदे के बेटे हैं और साथ ही साथ सांसद हैं, उनकी ओर से आनंद दीघे मठ की ओर से जो शक्ति स्थल कहा जाता है वहां तक वो जा रहे हैं और इसका कहना है कि ये समर्थन ही है केवल और कुछ नहीं है।
A new chapter in the Sena rebellion. Street politics is spreading, pitting one faction against the other, as the official proceedings effectively got a 2-week breather from the court. Rebel leader Eknath Shinde's MP son and his brother took out what they called a show of strength in the rebels' stronghold. Shinde and Uddhav Thackeray have targeted each other's sons, one an MP, the other a minister. But the Shinde's target was Sanjay Rao. MP and Thackeray is confident over his controversial comment on the rebels being dead without a soul.
ही संस्कृती महाराष्ट्राची नाही आणि भारताची ही संस्कृती नाही आणि हे सगळ्या धमक्या पोकळ धमक्या ज्या त्या कोणाला तरी दुसऱ्याला जाऊन त्यांनी दिल्या पाहिजे आणि या सगळ्या गोष्टी ज्या आहेत ह्या वैफल्यग्रस्त झाल्यामुळे या सगळ्या वक्तव्य जे आहेत ते होत आहेत आणि त्यांनी लक्षात घेतलं पाहिजे हे जे कोणाला सांगतायत की मृतदेह येतील करून अरे ते कोणाचे तरी भाऊ आहेत ते कोणाचे तरी वडील आहेत ते कोणाचा तरी मुलगा आहे.
In Harapsar in Pune, loyalist Shiv Sena workers organized a symbolic funeral procession and performed the last rites of the rebel MLAs at a crematorium. Shiv Sena's Aditya Thackeray hit out at the rebels as Uddhav Thackeray sacked all the rebel ministers and reallocated their portfolios.
संजय राउत को भी आप लोग क्या इसको राजनीति के हिसाब से देख रहे हैं?
नहीं, ये राजनीति नहीं, ये तो भी सर्कस बन गई है.
Amidst this, the centre's enforcement directorate summoned Sanjay Raut in an alleged money laundering case. Raut says he's busy elsewhere and will ask for another date.
हे ईडी तुम्हाला समन्स पाठवून बोलवेल, पण माझी तयारी आहे शिवसेनेसाठी आणि महाराष्ट्रासाठी, बाळासाहेब ठाकरेंच्या शिवसेनेसाठी आणि महाराष्ट्रासाठी अशा प्रकारच्या कोणत्याही बनावट कारवाईने माझी मान कापली तरी मी गुवाहाटीला जाणार नाही.
शिवसेना के ग्रुप लीडर, शिवसेना के गट नेता श्री एकनाथ शिंदे जी की ओर से हमें कोई प्रस्ताव आया नहीं है.
Raut found support from Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, who targeted the BJP.
যা ইচ্ছে করে যাচ্ছে আর যে কথা বলবে সত্যি কথা তার বিরুদ্ধে নয় সিবিআই নয় ইডি, আজকে তো দেখলাম মহারাষ্ট্রেও শিবসেনার একজন নেতার নামে সমস্ত প্রপার্টি অ্যাটাচ করে দিয়েছে ইডিতে। আরে এইভাবে দেশ চলে না, এইভাবে গণতন্ত্র চলে না, এইভাবে জীবন চলে।
Uddhav Thackeray says he has no longing for the chief minister's post and is ready to resign should the MLAs who are rebelling come up to him and say that to him face to face, as the BJP suggests that he had already planned to resign twice in this week. But Aditya Thackeray, the Sena's future, has been uncharacteristically aggressive and has minced no words in taking on the rebels, keeping the party cadre motivated, and the plans to rebuild the party should this rebellion succeed. With Ratnadeep Chaudhary in Guwahati and Sohit Mishra in Mumbai, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
पॉलिटिक्स की अगर बात करें अभी, तो मुख्यमंत्री उद्धव ठाकरे ने आपका भी नाम का जिक्र एक जगह पर भाषण में किया. उन्होंने कहा कि वो हम पर आ रहे हैं, लेकिन खुद श्रीकांत शिंदे जो हैं वो एमपी हैं. इसे किस तरह से देखते हैं? वो अब आपके ऊपर भी उन्होंने पिन पॉइंट किया.
नहीं, मुझे कुछ उसके बारे में कहना नहीं है. आज जो कुछ है वो आज आपको सामने दिख रहा है कि आज इतने बड़े पैमाने पर जो है वो एमएलएस नाराज़ थे और उनकी सबकी शिकायत एक ही है, एनसीपी. तो मुझे लगता है कि इसके अंदर सभी लोगों को सोचना चाहिए कि इतना ये सब जो है वो होने के पीछे कारण क्या है.
All right, and let's talk now about the situation in Guwahati at that 5-star hotel where the rebel MLAs have been staying ever since they moved there from Surat. And what we have learned is that they've now extended their stay in Guwahati.
Remember, their stay was earlier expected only till the end of this month. That's when their booking was supposed to end. But now they've extended their stay at the Radisson Blu Hotel in Guwahati. And also in the latest, interestingly, a banner has been put up in front near the hotel, in fact, in favor of Eknath Shinde. So definitely in Guwahati, the Shinde camp showing their strength through these posters.
That's right, and routinely releasing those videos from inside the hotel, showing, their numbers there. But moving on to other news now, and Mohammed Zubair, one of the founders of fact-checking website Alt News, was arrested by the Delhi police last night on charges of hurting religious sentiments and promoting enmity. He has now been sent to police custody for a day, and the case is based on a complaint made by an anonymous Twitter handle alleging that Mr. Zubair had tweeted a questionable image to deliberately insult the god of a particular religion.
Now, he had sent out this tweet in March 2018. That is the tweet he's been arrested for. And Alt News co-founder Prateek Sinha, who's also Zubair's colleague, he said that Zubair was called to Delhi for questioning in a different case from 2020, in which the court has given him protection against arrest. But he was now arrested in this new case instead, without mandatory notice and without even an FIR copy last night. Mr. Sinha also said that no FIR copy is given to us despite repeated requests.
And he tweeted last night the latest development, saying that their counsels had appeared for Zubair and the police had sought 7 days police custody. But this was declined by the duty magistrate and 1 day police custody was given. NDTV also has copies of that FIR that has been filed in this case. And there's been a huge outpouring of condemnation from the opposition leaders, from the Congress, from the left, from Trinamool Congress, everyone questioning Zubair's arrest. Let's go across to Arvind for more. And Arvind, give us details of this FIR copy that has now, in our possession, and also about the complaint that was filed. It was an anonymous handle, but it seems that the Delhi police came across it and then took action.
Yeah, Gargi, Delhi police has arrested Alt News co-founder Mohammed Zubair for allegedly hurting religious sentiment and also promoting enmity between two groups for his tweet dated 2018. So this FIR was registered on June 20th, and we have accessed the copy of the FIR, and that FIR reads that the sub-inspector of Delhi police, who was in the social media monitoring cell, when he was monitoring social media, that's when, according to the complaint, that he came across a tweet by an anonymous handle that referred to a tweet by Mohammed Zubair. This particular tweet of Mohammed Zubair is dated 2018, and according to the complaint, the FIR copy that we have accessed, the complaint, the Delhi police sub-inspector says that this particular tweet of Mohammed Zubair is highly provocative and it is hurting the religious sentiment of a particular community, and that's why he had recommended and registration of an FIR under section 153A of IPC, that is promoting enmity between two groups, and also section 295A of IPC, that is hurting religious sentiment. So he had recommended the registration of an FIR, and based on the complaint by the sub-inspector of Delhi police, the Delhi police special cell had registered this FIR. This FIR was registered on June 20th. Though this FIR was registered on June 20th, this was not uploaded anywhere on the website of Delhi police, because the Delhi police in its FIR has also said that considering the sensitive nature of the FIR, let this not be uploaded on the website. So the FIR was not uploaded on the website, it was directly marked to the magistrate. So Mohammed Zubair was called for questioning in a completely different case pertaining to a case that was registered, FIR that was registered in 2020. So he has already got protection from arrest in that particular case, and he promptly appeared before the Delhi police yesterday for questioning in the 2020 FIR, because he has already got an interim protection from arrest. So when he joined the investigation, when he was questioned during the course of the investigation, the Delhi police came up with the second FIR. This FIR was registered on June 20th, 2022. That is this year, at least 10 days or 8 days back, and then they provided this FIR copy to him, and based on this FIR he was arrested. So what's the reason for this particular arrest? According to our sources in Delhi police, which they have also now made it as an official statement, they said that Mohammed Zubair was not cooperating with the investigation, and also very importantly, he refused to give the electronic devices on which through which he posted all this objectionable tweets. So that's where the Delhi police has made that as a ground, and then they have chosen to arrest him. So after he was arrested somewhere close to 6:30 p.m. he was produced before the duty magistrate somewhere close to 11 p.m. and where the Delhi police has taken him for 1 day of police custody. So 1 day police custody will be ending today, and what we are being told is that he will be again produced before the competent court, that's in the Patiala House Court today somewhere in the evening, where Delhi police is again expecting to ask for further custody, saying that he is still not cooperating with the investigation. But whereas according to our sources, Mohammed Zubair's legal team is also preparing to challenge the order. If at all, if the magistrate court again sends him for further police custody, then they are preparing to challenge the remand order before the Sessions Court.
Right, Arvind, thanks for joining us with those details. So his custody is ending today, but the Delhi police is expected to extend that. Thanks very much for joining us with those details. And moving on, meanwhile, Mahua Moitra, the Trinamool MP, has said that this is shocking. Zubair's arrest is shocking, and the Delhi police is recently just giving a pretense of following the law. Let's listen in.
We've seen a number of opposition leaders coming out very strongly condemning Zubair's arrest from yourself, Shashi Tharoor, Rahul Gandhi, Asaduddin Owaisi, across the spectrum.
Yeah, Nidhi, it's absolutely shocking. I mean, especially when you see, the Delhi police lately in the last 1 or 2 years have pretty much given up any pretense of following the law. And in this case, under 153A, 295A, these are both sections for which the punishment is less than 7 years. So the Supreme Court in the Amrish Kumar judgment has laid out very clearly that any section which has a punishment less than 7 years, that you have to give notice except under very exceptional circumstances. And in this case, what is the exceptional circumstances that warrants bypassing of the guidelines? And this is complete abuse of prosecutorial discretion, A. And the second thing is, if you see for what Zubair has been arrested, he's been called in for something else where he's got protection from the Delhi High Court. They've arrested him on something else. The whole thing is cloudy. Now, the hilarious part of all this is, if you look at Miss Fringe Sharma, the fringe element, Miss Sharma, she is meanwhile being protected by taxpayers' money and has not been arrested. Now, I think the sections under which she had been charged have also been exactly the same, 153A and 295A. So, I mean, at least keep some semblance of what they call Aankhon ki sharam. Keep something. There is no due process of law. It is just out there and open. And I can imagine the BJP doing this. But when the police of the Delhi city, of Delhi state does this, it is shameful. And we all have to stand up because we're all going to be next. They're coming for all of us now.
But Mahua Moitra, do you see a sort of a bigger pattern here of going after dissent, going after those who have, called out the ruling establishment or criticized them, or, Zubair certainly was, in the forefront of that, but as a fact checker, as a journalist, which is what he's been doing, not just about the BJP, but across parties.
What the BJP and what the current dispensation hate more than anything is today fact. They dislike fact. And they dislike truth, and they dislike anything that is logical, and 2 + 2 = 4. And that is what Zubair stands for. That is what Alt News does. And frankly, they call out everyone. If I put out something that is not correct, Alt News will call that out. Now, they hate anything that they like to live in this world of make-believe and fiction and propaganda, where only the truth that the BJP puts out is the truth. So someone like an Alt News, someone like a Zubair or a Pratik is fundamentally at odds with the basic DNA of this dispensation. So obviously this is something that we knew this would happen, but I'm surprised that it is happening so fast and with absolutely no thought to due process. I think with each win, for example, they won these 2 seats in UP, and now they think that, actually the people of India are endorsing this. I think with every win that the BJP get in some random bypoll somewhere, they seem to think that now this has emboldened us even more. Indians want this. People are liking this. We don't have to listen to the law because Indians are rewarding us in the ballot box for all of our actions, be it bulldozing, be it arrest, be it clamping down on dissent. Unfortunately, this is what's happening.
But so, Mahua Moitra, what would you say to those people who are actually celebrating Zubair's arrest today? And there are plenty of them doing it right now, thinking that it would never happen to them.
Like I said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And Gandhi said something. He said that whenever in history you have seen that something is seen unsurmountable and that truth will never triumph, in the end, truth has always triumphed. So I think we keep strong and we keep our spine straight and we just stand for what is right because history will judge us. So this will end. This cannot go on.
All right, so lots of outpouring of anger over Zubair's arrest and many questioning it. And with that, time for us to slip into a short break.
But stay with us, as on the other side, we'll get you what the Prime Minister said at the G7 meet in Germany. PM Modi's food security pitch. All that and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. And unfortunate news from Maharashtra. A 4-story building in Mumbai's Kurla area collapsed last night and one person died and more are feared to be trapped underneath the debris. 11 people have been evacuated safely as of now.
And those rescue operations are still underway by the fire department and a team from the NDRF. Minister Aditya Thackeray, also in the midst of the crisis that he's facing, went and took stock of that rescue work. It seems that this building had been sent a notice earlier, but some people were still living inside it. Let's go across to Saurabh for more on this story. And Saurabh, this is a very similar story we've seen in Mumbai. Many of these buildings that are, safety hazards and notices issued, but given the situation there, people, continuing to live in those buildings, and unfortunately this 4-story building in Kurla, they're collapsing.
That's right. In fact, what we've heard from the BMC, the civic body, is that, this took place late last night, and it was, it happened at Naik Nagar Society. It's called. This is in Kurla East, and this, of course, the entire building collapsed. It was a ground plus 3 structure, a private building connected to another wing, which is also dangerous. And what we know from the BMC is that 11 injured. Out of that, one unknown identified person as of now, 30 years, has been declared dead, brought dead to the hospital. There are 11 who are, the rest are undergoing treatment, and also they are admitted to Sion Hospital. But yes, this is a recurring problem in Mumbai, where during monsoon, several dilapidated buildings are at risk of collapsing. The BMC always issues notices to to residents to vacate before monsoons, but most people, given the housing situation in Mumbai, choose to stay on, even if it's dangerous. And then, of course, this is, of course, happens every monsoon, and that's perhaps the sad part.
All right, Saurabh, and do stay on with us for the other big story coming out from Maharashtra, and that, of course, is the political crisis that's dodging Maharashtra for the last couple of days. And the rebel Sena MLAs, the Shiv Sena MLAs, have got a breather from the Supreme Court yesterday, when the Supreme Court gave them 14 days more to file their reply to the Deputy Speaker's notice on their disqualification.
Now, but Gargi, while this court halted the disqualification proceedings for now, the Uddhav Thackeray faction contended that there should be no trust vote till the pending issues are decided. But the Supreme Court, in their response, said that they could approach the court if anything illegal takes place.
That's right. Well, let's go back to Saurabh for more on that. And Saurabh, it seems now the question is about, this trust vote taking place. The Uddhav Thackeray camp very, trying to, very keen that it should not take place till the matter of this disqualification is settled. But there are lots of moves now being made. We saw the BJP also met yesterday after the Supreme Court order was given, and we also spoke to some of those rebel MLAs. They said they are going to reveal their next step soon. There could be an approach to the governor. There could be a demand that there be a floor test, since they clearly have the numbers with them.
This is, of course, something that is a matter of numbers. A floor test is a matter of numbers, and ultimately whether a government is in minority or the government has the numbers to survive is decided on the floor of the House, and ultimately it will be a floor test. But before that floor test can happen, several things have already reached the courts. For example, the disqualification of the rebel MPs, whether they fall under the ambit of the anti-defection law or not, and also the fact that, this was, of course, something that happened before actually the numbers reached 2/3, and you can take action for someone who's plotting or anti-party activities. That's, of course, a Supreme Court judgment that was pronounced in the case of Sharad Yadav of the JDU. So several matters are in court, and in fact before these issues get sorted out, or there's some sort of clarity on them, it would be inappropriate to have a floor test, is what many feel, and that, of course, is something that the Maharashtra government or the Shiv Sena will also oppose in court if there is a floor test before the 11th of July. And if the governor calls for a floor test, then, of course, the government will say that it can happen anytime after the Supreme Court decides on the pending judicial issues as far as these disqualifications are concerned. The move to disqualify has been kept on hold till 11 July, the next date of the hearing in the Supreme Court, and that's, of course, what the government is also going to argue, that look, if there has to be a floor test, it has to be post the 11th of July, when the Supreme Court will decide on matters that are placed before it judicially.
All right, so this entire crisis is going to carry on for many more days now. Thanks so much, Saurabh, there for the very latest. And let's just take a look at this report on all the developments that took place yesterday, the arguments that were placed before the Supreme Court.
A big relief for Eknath Shinde and his 38 rebel MLAs as India's top court gave them 14 more days to respond to the Deputy Speaker's disqualification notice. The Deputy Speaker had given them 48 hours. Eknath Shinde called it a victory and tweeted, "This is the victory of the Hindutva Emperor Balasaheb Thackeray's Hindutva and the thoughts of Dharmavir Anand Dige Sahib." Uddhav Thackeray's request against any move for a floor test was not accepted, with the court saying there was no foundation of the issue yet, and if any illegality takes place, then every citizen can approach the court.
Our reply to the notice of the Deputy Speaker for our disqualification is extended till the 12th of July.
But can there be a floor test?
I can't comment on it because that's not the subject matter of this petition.
In fact, the Supreme Court also questioned the Deputy Speaker's rejection of the rebels' petition to remove him, pointing out that this case is different from earlier defection cases that came to court because here the authority of the Deputy Speaker itself is under question. The court has issued notices to key officials in the Thackeray camp, the new chief whip and the new leader of the legislative party, both of whom have replaced rebels, and allowed time for counter affidavits and rejoinders. A notice has also been issued to the centre as it has been made a party to the case by the rebel MLAs because of the security arrangements they are seeking.
When the top court asked the Shinde camp why they had not approached the Bombay High Court first, their lawyer N.K. Kaul said that the atmosphere in Mumbai was not conducive to pursue their rights, as homes as well as properties of the MLAs are being burnt.
As arguments in the court continued, the Shinde camp said the Deputy Speaker's actions are unconstitutional and he had no right to issue a disqualification notice. The MLAs were asked to respond in 2 days. The rules required a minimum of a 14-day deadline. There are violations of principles of natural justice. The Deputy Speaker said a no-trust motion sent by MLAs was not a valid document. The letter was sent from an unregistered email ID. Its veracity was not authenticated. The Shiv Sena argued that the Deputy Speaker has the right to take decisions first. There was no need for a judicial review, and the moment the MLAs knew that they were likely to face disqualification proceedings, they sent an invalid letter to the Deputy Speaker.
For now, the MLAs are free from the fear of disqualification, and any further developments in court will take place only on 11th July. But in this twisted tale of Maharashtra's political crisis, new moves by the stakeholders cannot be ruled out. In New Delhi with Arvind Gunasekar and camera person Pawan Kumar, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
All right, so the big question now is, will there be a floor test before the disqualification? That's something the Thackeray camp doesn't want, but could it happen before the 11th of July?
Right, and rebel Shiv Sena MLA Deepak Kesarkar, speaking to NDTV from that 5-star Radisson Blu Hotel in Guwahati, said that the faction led by the disgruntled party leader Eknath Shinde has the majority that could easily pass a floor test in the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly.
So the strategy is to be decided. I'm not the person who decides the strategy, and strategy is not announced publicly. It takes place, and shortly whatever decision we take, you will come to know. The Maharashtra is with the minority government, and soon the stable government will have to replace it, and that is a process, so nobody should feel bad about it.
But you're ready to support.
Government money is not spent on our state. We are making payments for our own state.
All right, so that interview from the 5-star hotel in Guwahati, and let's find out more about what's happening at that hotel. Let's go across to Ratnadeep, who's been bringing us all the reports of that Radisson Blu Hotel where the rebel Shiv Sena MLAs have been staying. And Ratnadeep, we believe they've extended their stay there, and also a banner has been put up outside the hotel supporting Shinde.
That's right. In fact, at this moment, it's raining in Guwahati. It has been raining quite hard from the morning. So, therefore, the regular activity of security is also little less today outside the hotel. But what we can confirm to our viewers is that there has been a show of strength of the Shinde camp not only in Maharashtra but on the streets of Guwahati. In fact, last night we did play out visuals of that banner on a billboard which has come up just a kilometer ahead of the hotel in Guwahati where they are staying. And also what we can confirm to our viewers now is that the Shinde camp has decided to extend their hotel bookings as well. Initially their hotels were booked till the 30th of June, but now it has been extended till 5th of July. The hotel has stopped taking other bookings till the 5th of July. Also, what sources are indicating to us is that at this moment the Shinde camp is concentrating more in terms of taking legal consultation as well as making their strategy for the next course of action. And what we are picking up from political sources who are in know of the developments is that the movement of the Mr. Shinde and his loyalists, MLAs who are here, 48 of them, would only take place when their physical requirement is required anywhere else. And that physical requirement might be required when there will be the floor test in the Maharashtra Assembly. But still, at this point of time, there is no clarity on when a floor test will take place. Therefore, it seems that they will stay put here in Guwahati at least till the 5th of July because they have already extended their bookings till the 5th of July. But and there have been the mood in the Shinde camp has been quite good. In fact, yesterday all day they were closely monitoring the developments that were taking place in the Supreme Court proceedings. Sources also tell us that Sevainas were ordered after the Supreme Court interim order came in, and in fact they have been putting up here. Also, now they have developed their own makeshift communication center there because you can see that their spokespersons are giving regular interviews to different TV channels, and they also need to communicate to their lawyers online. So therefore, they have now developed their own dedicated.
Right, thanks very much Ratnadeep for joining us with those details from Guwahati. And from Guwahati and Maharashtra, let's now move to Punjab. Punjab's Aam Aadmi Party on Monday presented its first budget of 1 lakh crore, 1.55 lakh crore rupees to be specific. And in this budget, Gargi, interestingly, no new taxes have been imposed.
Well, good news for the Aam Aadmi there in Punjab. And Punjab also seems to have picked up points from the Delhi model. So you have mohalla clinics, free electricity and a focus on education and health. Here highlights from that budget.
A Delhi stamp on the Aam Aadmi Party government's first budget in Punjab. With Delhi Minister Manish Sisodia in the State Assembly, Punjab Finance Minister Harpal Chima announced that 300 units of free electricity for every household, a poll campaign promise based on the AAP's Delhi model, will be implemented from July 1.
पहली गारंटी की सी 300 यूनिट फ्री ऑफ कास्ट हरेक परिवार ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣਗੇ ਉਹ ਗਾਰੰਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੇਖ ਲਈ ਪੂਰੀ।
A second Delhi link to Punjab's budget, the announcement of mohalla clinics renamed as pinned clinics for the state.
माननीय स्पीकर साहब इस साल 117 mohalla clinic ਸਥਾਪਿਤ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਯੋਜਨਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ 77 ਕਰੋੜ ਰੁਪਏ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਰਾਸ਼ੀ ਦਾ ਤਜਵੀਜ਼ ਰੱਖੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ।
The annual budget size for Punjab is rupees 1,55,860 crores, 14% more than last year's Congress government budget. The government will spend 200 crore rupees to tackle stubble burning by exploring various possibilities and solutions for the issue. AAP National Convener and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal praised the budget, but the opposition was unhappy.
ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੈਕਲਿਸਟਰ ਜਿਹਾ ਬਜਟ ਆ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ 1000 ਰੁਪਏ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਮਹੀਨਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗਾਰੰਟੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀ ਕੇਜਰੀਵਾਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੇ ਉਹਦਾ ਇਸ ਬਜਟ ਸਪੀਚ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਬਜਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂਗਾ।
With Mohammad Ghazali, Bureau Report, NDTV.
All right, news of the Prime Minister and his visit to Germany at the G7, and Prime Minister Modi there addressed a session on food security and advancing gender equality at the G7 summit in Germany yesterday. He alluded to the Russia-Ukraine war and said the geopolitical tension has pushed energy and food prices and is affecting all countries.
He said that the availability of fertilizers was crucial for food security of the world, and he also saw G7 countries' cooperation to increase fertilizer production in India. On gender equality, meanwhile, he said that India is now moving from women's development to women-led development.
And after the G7, the Prime Minister on his way back is headed to the UAE. In his brief stopover in Abu Dhabi, he will be meeting with Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the President of the UAE and ruler of Abu Dhabi, to convey condolences on the passing away of the former president.
And now news from the United States. At least 45 people have been found dead inside a tractor trailer in a presumed migrant smuggling attempt in South Texas, according to a United States official.
The official also said that 15 others in the truck were taken to hospital in San Antonio, where the bodies were found on Monday. Just imagine, there were so many people inside that truck. The official speaking to the news on conditions of anonymity because the information had not been authorized at that time. But that is the horrific story emerging from South Texas, where 40 bodies have been found in this truck. All right, and with that, time for us to slip into a short break.
But up next, Telangana Chief Minister Chandrasekhar Rao is all set to inaugurate what is pegged to be the world's largest innovation campus. All the details on that coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's now get you news from Telangana. Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao is all set to formally inaugurate what's pegged to be the world's largest innovation campus.
That's right. And NDTV's Uma Sudhir gets us this sneak preview. She also has this chat with the Telangana Industry and IT Secretary, Jayesh Ranjan.
Telangana prides itself in being India's most successful startup state. I have with me the Principal Secretary for Industry, Commerce and IT, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan. Now you are very ambitiously pitching yourself as the world's largest innovation campus.
Which is true also. In fact, if you look at this space where we are, the second phase of T-Hub, this is 375,000. Next to it is T-Works, which will be inaugurated in another couple of months. That is 110,000 square feet. And just behind is a building under construction. This is called the Image Tower. So, of course, that's a huge space, 1.6 million square feet. But not everything will be for incubators. Lots of space will be given to image companies, that is animation, VFX, gaming companies to set up their offices. There will be common facilities, studios, etc. But a significant portion, roughly about 70 to 80,000 square feet, will be spent for creating an incubator there called the Image Incubator.
How come this ambition? I know T-Hub, the first phase was very successful. Give us some figures. What makes you so ambitious that you say, the best in technology from the world, and you're not saying just for Telangana, just for India, but for the world?
See, when we started the T-Hub, it was, in our opinion, quite a large facility. It was the largest in the country at that time, 70,000 square feet tech incubator. But we also realized within a matter of a few months that the appetite for good quality incubation services amongst young people, young innovators, young entrepreneurs, that is huge. I mean, even 2 T-Hubs, 3 T-Hubs could not have matched it. We saw a huge waiting list. So while 800, T-Hub phase 1 is an 800-seater facility, but we found that there's a waiting list of 1,000, 1,200, 1,400. And T-Hub became very aspirational. Many people started thinking that if I do not get into T-Hub, maybe something is wrong with me, am I not good enough? So all this unnecessary kind of pressure on yourself to get into T-Hub, etc. So we felt that let us build something which is really big. There is no waiting list. Everyone who is serious about developing their own startup, incubating their own idea, they will be placed here. And we also can bring lots of partners who support us. So this was one of the gaps in the first phase of T-Hub. For example, see, because Bangalore is more visible, just to take an example, lots of VC attention is focused in Bangalore. Not too much of VC movement happens in Hyderabad. And we felt that we can get VCs to set up their offices in T-Hub, but we found that there's not enough space. Most of the space that is available, we are giving to startups. But in this facility, the second phase of T-Hub, we have now decided that one whole floor will be given to VCs, and anyone who wants to set up their office here will be provided space absolutely free of cost. And obviously VCs are in close proximity to startups, because I'm personally very sure that there is no difference in quality of the kind of work which is happening in Hyderabad vis-a-vis the quality of work which is happening, let us say, in Bangalore. It's just that because VCs are located there, they interact more frequently, they see them not just formally in their offices but in social events and elsewhere. If that same opportunity is given to Hyderabad startups also to mingle with VCs literally all the time, they can also secure better funding, they can scale up faster.